Okay, here we go. What's going on, guys? Mystical Green Beanie here. Beanie's right here, by the way. But, it's warm in here because I have heat. I hope that doesn't sound like douchey or, like, terrible. It's just, I have heat and I'm not going to wear my beanie inside. Alright, so, sorry for being late. I had some technical difficulties going on. But yeah, let's get into some of the comics that I procured today. And let's get into some of the comics that you maybe procured today. It's Free Comic Book Day, not Free Comic Book Day. It's New Comic Book Day. So yeah, let's see what I got. First off, bit of a, I'm not gonna say a light week, but I didn't go overboard, but I did get some cool stuff. I got like 4 comics, and I ended up getting a trade, which is back there. So I guess starting off, let's start with Batman. The first issue of Joshua Williamson, and who's the artist in this? I want to credit the artist because this art is amazing in here. Jorge Molina. Yeah. Oh, Mikel Yanin. Mikel Yanin did some of the art in this. Oh, alright. Tristan. Hello, MGB. This is my first time in a live stream here. Oh, hey, what's up? This is my, I guess, second time doing a live stream, but it's my first time, doing this, like, semi-professionally. Hope you enjoy. Yeah. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, video resolution, never mind, it's all good. Sorry, just technical stuff going on. Yeah. Yeah, alright, cool. But yeah, this book is really fun. This is the first Batman book I've read in God knows how long. Okay, that's not true. This is the first, like, in continuity, like, mainline Batman book that I've read in quite a while. I really liked the Tom King Batman book. I was in the minority who liked that book. It is a shame that book kind of, like, wraps up the way it does. I feel like the first, like, 70-something issues are really good. Actually, no, the first, like, 65 issues are really good. But issues like that Nightmare arc, I don't know what, like, issue number that is, like, 69 to, that's what she said. But, like, issues, like, 69 to, like, 85? What happened? What happened with that book? I mean, we know what happened. DC told Tom King to wrap it up because, it just wasn't, it was starting to sell less than, like, a Hulk book. That's really the problem. And DC was like, we can't allow that to happen with our flagship title. So, yeah, it is what it is. I really enjoyed it, but I was in the minority there. And I totally understand why. But then James Tynion comes on. He does this whole run. I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't vibing with Joker War. And then I just didn't read all the Fear State stuff. I just felt like a bit much. And this feels like a fun little return to form for Batman. And I really enjoy it. You also see that he's in, like, the Batman Incorporated costume, or a version of it. I love this suit. This is, for me, like, the iconic 21st century Batman costume, in my opinion. But that's just because I'm a huge Grant Morrison fan, and that whole run that Morrison did with Tony Daniels and Frank Quietly and a few other people. I can't remember a lot of the names, which is unfortunate. I know one of the guys he did a book with is the dude who did Nameless. Whose name I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. For the life of me, I don't know. But yeah, the art in that whole series is really good. And this is where we get this costume design. You know what? I think David Finch designed this costume for Batman Incorporated. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But yeah, it's actually very fitting that Batman's in this costume because this is sort of like a Batman Incorporated title. DP fan. LOL. Fear State. I don't know what happened to that event. Me neither. So we're it's the blind leading the blind in that one. One trying to tell the other what happened. Yeah, no, I just skipped it, which is sad because I'm a huge I don't want to say that I'm a huge Scarecrow fan. I love the idea of the Scarecrow. I think the Scarecrow is potentially really interesting, but it's unfortunate that it just happened to be in that run that Scarecrow got a big push. And I hope that doesn't sound like me saying James Tynion doing a bit. No, I like James Tynion. I liked his Detective Comics Rebirth stuff. I just didn't vibe with his Bane run on Batman. But I do appreciate a lot of the stuff that he tried to do based off what I know of his run or what people have told me about his run. Making new characters for the Pantheon. Bringing in new villains and trying to hype up other villains that aren't the Joker. So that was really cool. I appreciate that. It's just I didn't vibe with the Michael Bay style high octane storytelling that he was going for. Because I vibe with this high octane Michael Bay style storytelling that Joshua Williamson is doing instead. Tristan, I think Fear State was mostly about Scarecrow wanting to take over Gotham, but the Bat family defeats him. Oh, sweet. That sounds cool. I might check that out in trade. I said this on Twitter, but I'll say it here too. Even though I made a whole video about this idea several weeks ago, I just think there's too much Batman. I think there's a real hard oversaturation of Batman. Batman is one of my favorite comic book characters. He's one of my favorite superheroes, but just the overexposure of that character just made me not invested in reading yet another Batman event with Fear State. But if you say it's good, I'll check it out. I know some of those Nightwing issues that I got tie into that event, so yeah, if you think it's worth checking out, I'll do that. But just wrapping this up. This book opens with a celebration, and it does feel a little. It does feel a little tongue in cheek. Joshua Williamson's yeah, Fear State, the Magistrate, all that stuff. It feels like he's making fun of all those status quos and stories that were going on, and he's like, yeah, it's finally over. We get to go back to the other stuff that people like. The Batman Incorporated, which came out 10 freaking years ago. And oh my god, I am old. Oh my god, Batman Incorporated came out 10 years ago. Jesus, can you believe it? Time flies. I don't want to spoil too much about this comic because this is a pretty easy to spoil book. Not a lot happens in it. It's very much a get you back in the swing of things kind of story. But Joshua Williamson is a great guy for this book. He has a lot of reverence for the character of Batman. There's a lot of fun Easter eggs in this. One of the big ones, I guess I'll spoil this one, is there's a costume party of all these billionaires, and so Batman goes to investigate this party, and it's a costume party filled with a bunch of I'll show you, Batman supervillains, or billionaires dressed up as Batman supervillains, and there's a whole thing where Bruce is like, I don't know who's who, but if I go in costume, well then no one's gonna know. And the Batman being in costume, that prompts all the villains to come out, the real villains to come out, and Killer Croc shows up, like out of nowhere. He beats the hell out of all these guys. I'll show it right here. And, surprise, surprise, Killer Croc is Batman. And oh my god, look at that. Look at that. Dude, tell me that's... You can't tell me that's not fire. I mean, you know, no pun intended. Dude, this artwork is amazing. What's his face, Molina? I almost called him Alfred Molina for a second, but no, that's not right. Oh wait, no, Jorge Molina is not the artist. Jorge Molina is the co-writer. Oh, okay. Joshua Williamson co-wrote this. Okay, that's cool. But Mikel Janin is the artist. That's weird. This does not feel like a Mikel Janin book. Not in a bad way. Just I'm not used to this art style that Mikel Janin has. You know what? I think it might be because they're working with a different colorer and inker. Yeah. Tomoe Mori did the colors. Yeah, I've never heard that name before in my life. But I've never seen that person, you know, color Mikel Janin. So, yeah, looks really cool. Looks very different. DB Fan, that panel looks amazing. Yeah, right. DB Fan, the Bendis Batman book felt like a Silver Age throwback. Yeah, that was the Walmart exclusive. Yeah. Remember the DC Walmart initiative? I do. I think they're still trying that. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, that was a really cool book. I really like that book. That's the thing that kind of made me think that Bendis would do a really good job at doing Batman. Probably better than he did with Superman. But I'm not going to open that can of worms. Tristan, the books I'm getting this week are Devil's Reign #1, Inferno #3, Captain America Iron Man #1, yeah, Hellions #1, and Son of Kal-El #1. And you say you have numbers 1 through 3 on your pull list, and you got number 4 last week, and you're starting the series. Oh, sweet. Yeah, let me know how that is. I read the annual, and I liked the annual a lot. It's funny, I saw a lot of people like dogging it on social media for like some of the out of context stuff. But in context, I think that whole Superboy holding up the L from LexCorp and going like, "Here, Lex, hold the L." Out of context, it's really bad. It feels like Tom Taylor like swinging a skateboard over his shoulder, wearing like a hoodie, and like had his hat on backwards, like, "Hello, fellow children and teenagers. Where can I procure the illegal substances to do behind the school dumpster?" It feels very much like that. It feels like a 40-year-old man trying to connect with Gen Z, and it's really bad. But in context, it's you don't even notice it. You don't notice it. So, there's that. Let's see. Tristan, have you seen the McFarlane homage variant? McFarlane homage variant? Of what? Get me hip. Because I'm not hip. I don't know what you're talking about. But I want to know what you're talking about, because I like Todd McFarlane. He's a national treasure. But yeah, I've been talking about this book for God knows how long. But yeah, this book is really good. Also, to wrap up thing I was saying earlier, really fitting that we're putting Bruce back in the Batman Incorporated costume, because this book winds up being about Batman Incorporated, which is really cool. I'm glad they're bringing that plot thread back from Morrison's run, which was just kind of dangling and left sitting there for like 10 years. Batman 118 had a McFarlane variant? Oh, I missed it. But yeah, no. This book's really cool. I like it a lot. Apparently it's going to be like a 4-issue arc, and I'm kind of getting out of the habit of like collecting single issues. Like I primarily read my comics through trade anyways. And for the books I don't feel like trade waiting on, I just read them on Comixology. But yeah, this is good. I'm gonna good. This is great. I'm going to at least collect the first 4 issues, the first arc, to see where this goes. yeah, this is really exciting, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Also, okay, spoilers for Batman 118, by the way. Look at this Lex Luthor at the end. Come on, tell me that's not Billy Zane. That's totally Billy Zane. No, not Billy Zane. Sorry, wrong bald white guy. That's Mark Strong. He looks like Mark Strong, you know, from Kingsman, in Sinestro from Green Lantern. I don't know. I know all artists have references, but that was one that I noticed, and I was like, oh, that's very on the nose. What happened to Connor Kent as a character? I have no idea. Last I saw, he was part of that Young Justice book that Bendis was doing several years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Sad day. Sad day if you're a Connor Kent fan. I am indifferent towards Connor Kent, so you know. But I'm pretty indifferent towards like most of Superman's sidekicks that aren't Supergirl. So maybe that's just a me thing, but oh well. Yeah, it looks just like Mark Strong. LOL. Next book is Wonder Girl by Joelle Jones. This continues to be a book that I really like, but I'm very scared is going to get canceled because it just doesn't feel like something that the mainstream is looking for. Also, everything involving Yara Flor has been canceled in terms of extra media content. Like that CW show she was supposed to have, like God knows how long ago. That's not happening. And she's supposed to be in something else. Like an animated movie, right? I don't remember. But yeah, no. I love Yara Flor. Of the Future State books, I thought hers was the best, by like a wide margin. Let's see. Luke Johnson. He was last seen in Suicide Squad. Who, Connor? Connor Kent's on the Suicide Squad? That's bizarre. Who's writing that? Yeah, I might have to check that out. Sounds interesting. I'm sorry, look at the phone. Yoink. But yeah, no, this Wonder Girl book is really good. Just off the art alone, Joelle Jones is an absolute master. Look at this. Guys, come on. Actually, there's another page. Yes, this page right here. Look at that. Come on. Sit there and tell me this doesn't look absolutely breathtaking. I know Joelle Jones does not color her own work. I know she inks her own work, but I don't think she colors her own work. Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, Jordi Belair is the colorist. Oh, okay. Also, Joelle Jones is not listed as the artist on here. That's weird and interesting. Because this looks a lot like Joelle Jones' art. But that could also just be Jordi Belair's colors. Some colorists are very strong, like to the point where they make everyone else and their pencils look like them. I know Bob Layton's like that with inks. But yeah, this book continues to be really cool. Joelle Jones is actively like redefining the Wonder Woman mythology. It's kind of a shame, you know. Like everyone's kind of talking about how Philip Kennedy Johnson is like doing all this world building for the DC universe and in the pages of Superman, which he's doing a great job of, by the way. I'm just now getting hip to that Action Comics book that he's doing. But yeah, it would be nice if more people recognize that Joelle Jones is like doing the Lord's work in this. You know, she's putting in some elbow grease with this book, right? DB fan. that Wonder Girl book has some great artwork. It does, man. Consistently. This is up there with like the Iron Man book right now in terms of like, you know, really solid art. Yeah. It's beautiful. This reminds me a little bit of like Janet Paquette a little bit. It's a little bit, you know, from Wonder Woman Earth 1. And I wanna say Batwoman, but I might be getting them mixed up with actually no, I don't know who I'd be getting them mixed up with. I think they did do that Batwoman book, you know, back before the New 52 with Rucka. Yeah. Although it could just be talking out of my ass. I'm really good at that. But yeah, just come on, look at this. Even like the talking scenes look beautiful in this. Really cool. And I'm liking all of the world building again. I'm liking how you know, Joel Jones is playing with the idea of there being different Amazonian queendoms and how they all answer to different gods, and how the Greek gods that kind of dominate the Wonder Woman mythology for the most part, they're not the only gods that the respective Wonder Woman answer to. I think that's really fascinating. Yeah, just great stuff. And I see that this title apparently is not being solicited after issue 8, so it might be canceled, which is a damn shame because it's just a really good comic. But oh well, you know, that I don't want to sound like, you know, cavalier about it, but that's kind of how it goes when you stick to reading corporate comics. And, you know, Marvel and DC, it be like that. Sometimes these things just go away. But it's not the destination. It's the journey. I don't know. I wanted to say something like really clever and stupid after that, but I couldn't think of anything. So I'm just going to move on to the next comic, which is Captain America Iron Man. I see someone else had this on their list. Tristan, you had this on your list. Yeah. I really enjoyed this comic. First of all, okay, so Marvel has been in a weird spot for the past couple of years. For a while now, look, I love the Ultimates. You know, like Mark Millar and Brian Hitch's Ultimates is probably my favorite comic ever published. Period. It just is. And, you know, as much as I like that comic, unfortunately, it did kind of have, like, long-lasting, like, negative ramifications for Marvel as a publishing house. One of those major negative ramifications is that everyone tried to mimic Ultimates and Ultimates 2 with Marvel characters in Marvel Comics for the better part of, like, 15 years. And they all mimicked those books with very, 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 very little success, in my opinion. But like in recent, you know, in recent years, it really feels like Marvel's going back on that. I first noticed it with Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley. That, it's hard to explain, but that felt like a comic book. You know, not a comic book trying to be a movie, but a comic book. And then you see that with Christopher Cantwell and Cafu's Iron Man. You know, that's a comic book. You know, it's not trying to tie into anything, not trying to feel like a movie, not trying to do any of that. It just feels like a cool 70s style Marvel comic. And this is upholding that tradition. This feels like a 70s Marvel comic. But with, you know, contemporary art sensibilities. And the art in this is really good. Actually, I thought this was Cafu for a second, but apparently it's an artist named Angel Unzueta. Let me show you. Let me just show you a dynamic page. Actually, you know what? The first page is pretty good. These first two pages, look at that. That's glorious. Just look at the coloring. God, it's beautiful. Oh, and this is great too. Hold on. I'm not sure if you can see it on my not that great webcam, but yeah, look at that like dynamic shot of Iron Man just like flying through traffic on the highway. That's really cool. Yeah, man, like I really enjoyed this book. It just felt like a cool, like old school 1970s Marvel comic. Let's see, DP fan. I heard a lot of great things about Greg Rucka's Lois Lane book. I did too. I read the first couple issues of that, but it was one of those things where it's a Greg Rucka comic. And he's not writing about superheroes. That's a thing to read and trade. Much like Gotham Central. I didn't have the patience to read it all in single issues. But I'm sure that's like a thing that reads very well in trade. But yeah, no, this was really cool. I really enjoyed this. And again, it just, come on. When was the last time you read a superhero comic that just had like silly supervillains in it? You know, like, bro, I'm very giddy about this. This is really cool. Oh, also we're getting a new She-Hulk book, and She-Hulk looks like She-Hulk finally. Thanks. Yeah, guys, this is really cool. Tristan, have you ever read Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye? I started reading it, and it's really fun and funny, too. I have read Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye with David Aja. I talk about that, and I did a video with Ziggy Gamma, who is a streamer now. He doesn't do YouTube videos anymore, but I have that video on the channel somewhere. We did a podcast about it. I'd check it out. The audio is very rough on my end, but yeah, no, it's probably one of my favorite Marvel comic series. Yeah. But that's the case with like everything Matt Fraction does for me. Matt Fraction is a weird talent, you know. He has this ability to take characters that I really don't give a shit about and then make them some of my favorite characters. He did that with Iron Man. He did that with Hawkeye. Although Hawkeye's weird because I liked Hawkeye, but I liked Ultimate Hawkeye. But Fraction made me fall in love with 616 Hawkeye, so that's really cool. He also did it with that Jimmy Olsen book. Like, I infamously don't like Jimmy Olsen. But that Jimmy Olsen comic that he did was really fun. It was just really beautiful. I like it a lot. So yeah, Matt Fraction. Great guy. Also, his Iron Fist run is really good. He co-wrote that with, I believe, Ed Brubaker, but I could be wrong. But that series was great. Basically just Iron Fist meets Mortal Kombat. The comic. It was fantastic. I highly recommend checking that out. I actually might do a video on that series once it comes back in trade, because that's, one of my favorite Marvel comic series. But yeah, no, this book is really cool. It's really fun. It's funny too. There's it's hard to explain. People always talk about, like, you know, Joss Whedon speak, you know, in a very disparaging kind of way. But Joss Whedon didn't invent Joss Whedon speak. That style of, like, narration, that goes back to, like the 70s with, like, old school Marvel stuff by, like, Roger Stern and Marv Wolfman. And there is a... Oh, hey, Devya, how's it going? But, what are you reading? Just dump it in the chat. But, going back to what I was saying earlier, there is a distinct style in which Joss Whedon writes, but that whole, like, subversive, we're not gonna take things too seriously kind of way, that's classic Marvel. You go back and read those, like, Marvel comics from, like, the 60s and the 70s, there's a lot of that going around with Stan Lee and Don Heck and the Steve Ditko and stuff like that. Tristan, there's going to be a Matt Fraction Iron Fist Omnibus that's coming out, I want to say this summer. Really? Oh, wow. Alright, time to spend money that I don't have on more comics. Jesus Christ. Thanks for letting me know that. DP fan, She-Hulk is bringing sexy back again? Or is that sexist due to post-2016 culture wars of politics becoming mainstream? LOL. Yeah, I mean, I try to avoid like some of the culture war stuff, but like it's hard to do with comics because comics are very reactionary, both in terms of like critical reception and like politics and what's going on. But you know what's weird? Apparently, at the end of that like Mariko Tamaki She-Hulk book, where She-Hulk is like the monster She-Hulk. Apparently, that run ends with Jennifer coming to peace with herself and her trauma and just going back to being regular old She-Hulk. And then Jason Aaron puts She-Hulk in the Avengers book and she just goes back to being Hulk Smash. I don't know. I don't know what the deal with Jason Aaron is. It's sad. He was one of my favorite like writers for a long time, but then he just started doing more and more superhero stuff, and the more of the superhero comics that I read, the less I liked him. Not as a person, just as a writer. I just don't like his superhero stuff. Avengers is just a travesty at the moment, so I'm just ignoring that Avengers book, and hopefully somebody, namely Chip Zdarsky, takes over the Avengers, because I think that book really needs a kick in the pants to be readable again. Like this. This is very much satiating my need for an Avengers comic right now. So if you're looking to get back into the Avengers, I recommend checking out Captain America and Iron Man. Sorry, I have like a lot of sniffles. I have major allergies, and my girlfriend has cats, and I love cats. Kitty cats are amazing. But my sinuses are not a fan. Let's see, Marvel Speak. Yeah, going back to the whole Marvel Speak thing. But yeah, just to wrap that up, Marvel Speak has always been a thing, in Marvel Comics. And it's funny that writers and directors like Quentin Tarantino and Joss Whedon, they popularized Marvel Speak because they grew up as Marvel Comics fans, so they just kind of put that they put those writing sensibilities into their work, and then it became popular. And then over the course of several decades, people were influenced by them, and they started writing like Tarantino and Joss Whedon. Whether it's good or not, well, your mileage may vary. I am not a fan of a lot of the imitation, but it's if I was Tarantino and Joss Whedon, I guess I would be flattered. Tristan, the next person I would like to see write the Avengers is Kyle Higgins, who has written Power Rangers, Darkhawk, and Radiant Black. Radiant Black, that's a book I really need to get back into. I read the first issue. I fell off because it felt very much like trying to capitalize on Invincible. But I heard that's really good. I've been hearing a lot of good things about that book. So I'll check out the trade. I think the first trade's out right now. And yeah, Kyle Higgins, he would be an amazing writer for the Avengers, quite frankly. That Power Rangers book is fantastic, which is weird for me to say out loud because I was never really a Power Rangers kid. It's weird. I of all the things in my generation to miss out on, Power Rangers. But yeah, no, Kyle Higgins would make an amazing Avengers writer. That Power Rangers book is pretty sick too. I can't lie. Again, I'm not a big Power Rangers kid, but yeah, it was basically just Evangelion with Power Rangers, and I dug it. Let's see. Tevia, any opinion on Hickman leaving X-Men? Because I feel like with him gone, X-Men has lost the plot. I agree. I 100% agree. Hickman went in... Ooh, sorry. Messed up my setup there for a second. Hickman went into the X-Men book with a plan and a pitch. And, that's just kind of the important thing about, popular mainstream comics. The people he was working for, Marvel, they really liked the pitch that he had, and the Act 1 of his series got really popular. The whole Krakoa arc, that status quo, people really resonated with it. So Marvel basically told him, hey, thank you very much, but we're just going to take this thing now because we know better than you. So you just go off and do whatever you want to do over there in the indie market. It's sad, but again, that's just the nature of Marvel and DC. I feel like if you're a fan of Marvel and DC, that's just a thing you kind of get used to after a while. It's a damn shame, because I was really looking forward to seeing Jonathan Hickman do for the X-Men what he did with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers, with Avengers World and all that. I thought that was really fascinating. I love how Hickman does this thing where he'll take like a book and he will start it off with a very familiar status quo. And then he takes them all the way over here somewhere. And then he loops it back around by the end. So I was very fascinated to see how Hickman would kind of like take the X-Men from a familiar status quo and just kind of like loop them around back to being in the mansion again. I was really fascinated to see how that would work. But unfortunately, we're never going to see that. So it is what it is. But I'm also just not a big X-Men guy. I think I've said this before in my in some of my videos. I really like Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's run of the X-Men. I really like Joss Whedon and John Cassidy, I think his name is. I like their run on Astonishing X-Men. I've read disparate issues here and there of Claremont and Byrne's old school X-Men title, but I don't know, I've just never really been a big X-Men guy, personally. So yeah, I guess I'm just not all that broken up about it. Let's see. Radiant Black Volume 1 is out in stores, and Volume 2 is coming out in April. Oh, sweet. Cool. Also, Tristan, I wouldn't say that the X-Men books will go off the rails once Hickman leaves, because I saw a video where Hickman said that he has full faith in his team after he leaves the X-Men. Yeah, but Hickman's also a very gracious guy, and he's a good sport. So I that might just be like, him playing the game to not burn any bridges. But, I don't know. Hopefully it's good. My hope is always that comics are good. I don't know. I'm not one of those guys who just wants things to go bad out of spite. I see a lot of that in comics right now. It's really unfortunate, but, yeah. Tevia, any opinion on Tom Taylor being an exclusive writer to DC Comics? Because while I am happy for him, I am worried what he has done to my favorite character, John Kent Superboy. I hear you, Tevia. Tom Taylor is very weird for me. He is the definition of hit or miss. I was talking to one of my other buddies about this. I feel like there were two Tom Taylors. The first one is the Tom Taylor who will give you stuff like Injustice and Deceased, and like really good comics like that. And then the other Tom Taylor is the Tom Taylor who gives you crap like All New Wolverine. So It's just very hit or miss. Like, for example, I'm loving Dark Knights of Steel. That second issue was really good. That first issue was damn good too. But just and then you get over to like Son of Superman. What? Like, you have the powers of Superman, and you're going to like march with people against climate change. What? Tom, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. Again, Tom Taylor's very hit or miss for me, but just yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm sure that he will put out a lot of quality content. I'm sure for all of the weird and not great comics that get put out, there's going to be, just as many, if not more, great comics that he puts out. He's just one of those creators. Oh, I actually have one last book here. So the last book I have in my pile for this week is Fantastic Four Life Story, issue number 5. This book is by Mark Russell and Sean Izaskey. I've really been enjoying this comic. It's, for those of you who aren't reading, much like Spider-Man Life Story, this is going through the entire span, or I guess history of the Fantastic Four, in the same way that Life Story for Spider-Man did that for Peter Parker. There's a lot of really neat stuff in this. It's funny, at first I was very put off by the fact that Chip Zdarsky wasn't the writer for this, because Chip Zdarsky did an amazing job for Spider-Man Life Story. But Mark Russell, writer of... what else has Mark Russell written that I can call off the top of my head? Flintstones. Mark Russell did that Flintstones books a couple years back. Really fun, really hilarious, very underrated comic. I didn't hear a lot of people talk about it, but yeah, no, I was very fascinated to see what Mark Russell would do with this book, and so far I'm not disappointed. This book is fantastic, for lack of a better term. Really makes me wish that Mark Russell would write the main Fantastic Four title. Not trying to throw shade at Dan Slott, but I really think Mark Russell would do an amazing job with a Fantastic Four book. Again, the pitch for this is very, it's very simple. Back in the 60s, the Fantastic Four, they go to space. They have a weird run-in with this like astral being from the cosmos named Galactus. Reed Richards goes crazy. He starts doing his best impression of Noah. He's like, there's gonna be a big flood, but by flood I mean it's gonna be a giant alien that's gonna come kill us because God is real and He wants us dead. And this comic is fantastic. Again, for lack of a better term, it lives up to its moniker. Really cool stuff. I also really like the art. Let me just show you a page in this real quick. That just kind of blew my mind. Where's a good one? Okay, so this one, the Silver Surfer. That's awesome. That's awesome. There's another one in here that blew my mind too. But I can't find it right now. But I'm really enjoying this. I love how this is like an alternate history kind of take. Like there's a really cool thing where, because the the news of Galactus' arrival is public, a lot of conflicts that we experience in the real world, as well as the Marvel Universe and their continuity, just never happened. Like 9/11 never happened. The war in Afghanistan never happened. Because we achieved world peace through apathy. I think that's really fascinating. Yeah, Mark Russell might be like one of my favorite writers working currently. Um, the life story universe is very interesting. Yeah, I agree. Although I think this is in a different universe than Spider-Man life story. I think that's what Mark Russell said when the series began. And I was very put off by that. Like, oh, that's really sad. But after reading this issue, I completely understand why why those need to be separate entities. Also, something I noticed about this issue and the last issue, the Fantastic Four, their costumes change based on the decade. But unlike Spider-Man, where the costume changes just kind of reflect the times, the costume changes in this reflect the decade of comics that the Fantastic Four were in. So with this taking place in the 2000s, I believe 2002 into 2006, the Fantastic Four are wearing costumes that are reminiscent of their Ultimate Universe counterparts. And I think that's really interesting. So that's a really cool Easter egg there. Tristan, Taylor's Nightwing run is a hit. I also read Volume 1 of his X-Men Red series. Also, Nightwing and John Kent are going to have a 2-part crossover. I heard about that. Yeah, it's... Again, Tom Taylor, I really like his Nightwing run. There's some stuff in it that feels a little cringy. I can't remember where I saw this, but somebody that I know posted that, where you have writers like Bendis, who writes for the Trade, and Hickman, who writes for the Omnibus. Tom Taylor writes for the Twitter caption. And that there's a lot of that in Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing. Particularly when Dick is talking about, like, Bruce Wayne could actually do more with his money if he just donated to charities instead of being Batman. That's a thing that's been debunked, right? Right? And I'm asking rhetorically. I know it's been debunked. I've read Grant Morrison's run on Batman. I've also read Batman White Knight. So, yeah, no, that's a take that's really dumb. And Tom Taylor obviously just did that to get some Twitter points. But, yeah, outside of some of that stuff, like, the book itself is really fun. Let's see. DP fan, life story, like Ultimate Marvel, feels like movie and TV pitches. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. Tevia, I personally would love Spider-Man life story to cross over with Fantastic Four. That would be really cool. Although the Fantastic Four in Spider-Man life story is distinctly different from the Fantastic Four in Fantastic Four life story. Very different. This is far more optimistic and hopeful about the future of the Fantastic Four than Chip Zdarsky's interpretation was. Although Chip Zdarsky's interpretation of the Fantastic Four in Life Story was probably a bit more pragmatic, I would say. DP fan. Oh boy, yeah, Ultimate Marvel. Yeah. You know what? Okay. I don't know how you meant that, because in text things are very, it's hard to discern intent. But I like the Ultimate Marvel universe, I think it gets a bad rap. I've done 2 videos so far talking about how much I love the Ultimate Universe. At the very least, Ultimates and Ultimates 2. Which I am working on Ultimates 2 video. It's taking a very long time, but that's just because I'm a perfectionist and I really want for that video to turn out as best as it possibly can, because I really like Ultimates 2. I'm a major simp for that comic. And again, it's just really sad that people... I've noticed people just kind of crap on the Ultimate Universe. But a lot of that just comes down from, like, Ultimates 3 and Ultimatum and all that crap that Jeff Loeb did. But Dude, everything from Ultimate Spider-Man in like 1999 or 2000 up to Ultimates 2 is really solid. Like that whole 7-year stint of comics in the Ultimate Universe is really good. You know, if you read Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, the Ultimate Galactus trilogy, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and then, you know, Ultimates and Ultimates 2, that's a really strong 7-year stint on comics. And I think I'll say this in my retrospective review for Ultimates 2. I legitimately do feel like the Ultimate Universe, you know, from Ultimate Spider-Man up to Ultimates 2, is probably the best like superhero comic reading experience I've ever had. And I'm not even like, there's no joke, there's no punchline, that it just is. Let's see. Tristan. Well, since you like Mark Russell's Life Story series, I could recommend DC's One Star Squadron, which is basically like Superior Foes of Spider-Man, but with Power Girl, Red Tornado, and other heroes. Did that come out today? I think I saw something with a similar title like that. Did that come out today? Huh. Thank you. I'll check that out when I go back to my comic book store next week. Tevia Smoka. I personally like Tom Taylor's all-new Wolverine run, and it was very criminally underrated. I'm glad you liked it. It wasn't my... I don't mean to crap on it. It wasn't my thing personally, but I'm really glad that you liked it, and I'm glad that book had an audience. The Ultimate Universe was so underrated. Yeah. Well, I think now it's underrated. I think at the time it was very overrated. Yeah. Yeah, Ultimatum ruined everything. Yeah, it did, unfortunately. Although I think some of those comics after Ultimatum were pretty good too. You know, I think Mark Millar's return to Ultimates is really cool, even though he's doing something very different in that series compared to what he was doing in the first two Ultimates installments. Also, Ultimate Spider-Man stayed pretty good throughout that whole time. DP fan. Yeah, I love Ultimate Marvel. Oh, yeah. Cool. I hope it didn't sound like I was bullying you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to come off that way. Yeah, nothing but love here. Tristan. Hey, join the club. I also like the Ultimate Universe. I sent Marvel an idea for an Ultimate Rebirth line where all the Ultimate comics can come back after Secret Wars. I hope they looked at it, because the Ultimate Universe is back, and Marvel has yet to do anything with it. So, it'd be really cool to see a return to the Ultimate Universe. Let's see. Ultimate X-Men really got destroyed after Ultimatum. Yeah, it did. Although, I think Nick Spencer wrote Ultimate X, which is where we follow Jimmy Hudson and, all the, like, weird political things with the X-Men, or I guess the mutants, much rather, where mutants are, like, rounded up in, like, concentration camps, and then they're eventually released when the U.S. government, or I guess when the United States is, like, broken up into, like, several different territories because there's a civil war going on. And the mutants are just kind of given their own territory, and it's very analogous for what's going on with Native Americans on reservations, right now. So I thought that whole status quo was very interesting, especially when you get to the stuff where Kitty Pryde and Jean Grey more or less become the new versions of Professor X and Magneto. I thought that status quo was really interesting. So yeah, let's see. Tevia, I loved Ultimate Spider-Man growing up, and I was sad that it got destroyed. Me too. It's funny, I was actually one of those guys who stopped reading after the death of Ultimate Spider-Man. I later went back and read some of the Miles Morales stuff, but for me, Ultimate Spider-Man, that's a Peter Parker book, and I just kind of stopped reading after Peter died. That was my temper tantrum. Although some of that Miles stuff is pretty alright. Although it's weird because a lot of that stuff I really appreciated for a while, and then I watched Into the Spider-Verse and I was like, oh god, these comics aren't that great. So yeah, that's a little problematic, but yeah, no, Ultimate Spider-Man is really good. Tristan, yes, One Star Squadron came out yesterday. Okay, cool. Yeah, DC does that weird thing where they release books on Tuesday now. I don't like it. I really don't. I just collect all my comics on Wednesday. DP fan, if Marvel brought back Ultimate Marvel, they would crap all over the meta humor for having flawed, unlikable, complex characters set in 2000s. Yeah. That's the sad part. I don't trust the current Marvel bullpen to do an updated version of of the Ultimate Universe, because I think the nuance of the Ultimate Universe is just so complex. Like having a whole comic that is like about the military-industrial complex and has the balls to not point the finger and preach and, you know, stand like on a pedestal and say this is the problem, this is how we fix it. You would not get that in a contemporary version of an Ultimate Universe story. Or maybe you would. I don't know. Just based off what I've seen from some of the writers at Marvel currently, I don't have faith that would be possible. Ultimates and Ultimates 2 are very nuanced and fascinating. And they feel like, you know, flash in the pan kind of comics that we just can't get anymore. In fact, I'm sure if the Ultimate Universe came back, it would just be a clone of the MCU. So yeah. Tevya, except Bendis, terrible Spider-Man 2 Ultimate Marvel Universe Rebirth made no sense. It doesn't make sense, but post Secret Wars, the Marvel Multiverse makes no sense. DP fan, another idea if they brought back Ultimate Marvel would probably make it like the MCU for general audiences. Yeah. Tristan, Jeff Loeb wrote Ultimate X, which Jimmy made his debut in the Ultimate Universe. Nick Spencer wrote Ultimate Comics X-Men with the whole concentration camp and political stuff. Okay, cool. Then yeah, Ultimate Comics X-Men is the one that I read. I think I skipped Ultimate X. Or did I? I don't remember. Yeah, it's been like so long since those comics came out. I was in middle school when those books came out. And I'm in college now, so that's how long it's been since I've read those comics. Tevya, it's sad Jimmy Hudson is now dead and buried. Really? Is he? Holy crap. I missed out on a lot. DP fan, Ultimate Marvel's unfinished plot thread storylines is sad. LOL. Especially the Bendis stuff that he... but, you know, he never finishes anything unless it's Daredevil. True, but even his run on Daredevil left a lot of plot threads open-ended for, the subsequent writers to pick up and carry those plot lines forward. Like the whole thing with Daredevil being in prison and his wife at the time just hanging out while Matt's in prison. Brubaker had to wrap that up. So, but then Brubaker left some some plot threads dangling, which Andy Diggle picked up on. And we don't talk about that because we don't talk about Andy Diggle's run on Daredevil. Tevia. One story I would love to finish in Ultimate Marvel is how did Ultimate Peter Parker come back to life, and him and Ultimate Mary Jane figure out the truth. That would be cool. We're probably never going to see that, but that would be cool. I agree. I still don't like that they brought back Peter. I also have a whole thing where I think having Peter alive in a universe where Miles Morales is operating as Spider-Man undercuts Miles as a character. I feel like if you want Miles to be Spider-Man, you have to commit to the bit. He has to be the only Spider-Man, the one and only Spider-Man. You can't have there be, here's Ben Reilly over there, and Peter Parker over there, and Kane over there, and here's Miles too. You can't do that. That undercuts Miles' existence, If you want there to be a Miles Morales, that is, a character that means a damn thing, you're going to have him be the one and only Spider-Man. And I think that's a question, or I think that is, that's something that Marvel is really wrestling with right now. And, it's just a hard question to face. Ultimate Marvel needs to be in the Max Line imprint or just be licensed to another publisher entirely. Agree. Tevia, Jimmy Hudson got turned into Poison in X-Men Blue. That's lame. Tristan, that exactly my plot line for Spider-Man story with Peter Parker trying to find out how he came back to life. Yeah, that would be cool. That would legitimately be cool. We're at an hour. Actually, we're over an hour. I have one last book I wanted to show. So, I wasn't planning on spending this much money today, but after the whole news about Dark Horse maybe selling off some of their assets or just kind of shutting down entirely, I got Hellboy Volume 3, the Omnibus. Dark Horse has been pumping these out, and I'm really happy because I love Hellboy. Hellboy is one of my favorite horror comics. Horror. It's more like an X-Files book with really cool art. Where this demon guy, who's essentially Ben Grimm, fights demons and mythological creatures. It's really cool. And, Hellboy's just like one of my favorite comic book series. That I don't talk about, I don't feel. Should I talk about Hellboy? Is that a thing you guys would be interested in? I would like to, but I'm just not sure if there's like an audience for it. After hearing about the whole thing with Dark Horse maybe shutting down, I ran to my store and I picked up Volume 3 because I bought the first omnibus and my girlfriend bought the second omnibus. So here I am getting the third omnibus, and probably next week buying the fourth and fifth one, if I have money in my account to do that. Hellboy's really cool. DP fan, Ultimate Peter came back because the Super Soldier Serum grants immortality. But I always felt that, that was him speaking like symbolically. Or at the very least, that's him saying that with like a sense of like, hubris. I didn't think it literally made you immortal. Hellboy is cool. DP fan, Ultimate Marvel explanation for superpowers. Super Soldier Serum and grants immortality. Yeah. I do like that in the Ultimate Universe. Like everything's tied to the Super Soldier Serum. I think that's really cool. And you're going to see me talk about this in my retrospective for Ultimates 2, very thematically consistent, and why I think Ultimates 2 is the perfect finale to the Ultimate Universe. Because everything revolves around Captain America, and I think that's very fascinating. I think it's really cool that the first thing that we see in the Ultimate Universe is, sorry, allergies. But I think it's really cool that the first thing we see in the Ultimate Universe is Norman Osborn feverishly trying to secure a patent for the new super soldier serum to get a defense contract with S.H.I.E.L.D. And the last thing we see in the Ultimate Universe is Captain America, resurrected, telling Nick Fury that the Ultimates cannot fight the American government's battles for them. I think that's really powerful. I really like that a lot. DB fan. Yeah, Hellboy. Hellboy's great. Yep. Norman Osborn was insane. Yeah, that goes for every universe, right? Very nervous to see what they do with Norman Osborn in No Way Home. I really hope that doesn't wind up being a Force Awakens type situation, where it's just a movie that's coasting off of everyone's nostalgia. Tevya. Personally, if I had my way, I would have Peter Parker and Mary Jane get remarried again and have his daughter Mayday Parker alive and kicking while Miles becomes the new Spider-Man. That could be cool. That could be cool. But yeah, alright. I think this is a good point to leave off. We've been going for well over an hour. But yeah, guys, great talking to you. I love doing these streams. It's really fun. It's great to talk about comics with y'all, like, more directly. But yeah, I can't wait to do this with y'all next week. I don't know what comes out next week. So I'm, it's weird. I used to work at a comic book store. I did some work in comic store. It was cool. It was a fun gig. And that's how I kind of, like, knew about stuff before it came out and all that. But now that I'm just, like, a lowly civilian, I don't have those privileges anymore. So I'm just experiencing, this whole thing like everybody else, week by week. But yeah, great having y'all hang out. It was really fun, and yeah, see y'all next week. Hopefully, I put out a video in this week. Alright. Take care. Adios, nachos. Adios.